Well, hi, good morning. Thanks so much for joining me in my shop here on another cold January 25th. So, the last video, at the end of the last video, I made an attempt at testing our record player here, and turns out it has serious traction problems. Probably due to me grinding down the intermediate wheel. Now, that's how much stuff I ground off of it. That's a lot. That's easily close to 3 times what typically comes off one of these wheels when I grind it. So there's a chance I've ground it down to a diameter where it no longer makes strong contact with the platter rim and the motor spindle. So that's what we need to investigate. The problem with investigating this thoroughly is it's hidden under the platter, and you have to remove the platter to see it, and by then it's impossible to test its contact, to examine or assess its contact, other than just knowing that there's a traction problem. There's not too many other places for traction problems to occur in my mind. So we're talking about this intermediate wheel here. Now, another couple possible situations are it's still hard on the outside, and so I'm testing it with my fingernail here. I didn't do this when I ground it down. Doesn't feel as grippy as it could. Let me compare it to the top here. So the top, I can really feel the drag when I pull my nail across it, but when I do it on the edge here, and I would suggest grinding more down would be a good idea. Now, there's some limit to how far this intermediate wheel can travel. There's something stopping it here. That's just the spring doing that. So it looks like it can travel quite a distance. The rim that it's trying to drive against is quite a ways inside here. It's not way out here on the outer edge. It's inside by a good big inch. A big inch. So a big inch, what's this? Well, that doesn't add up, does it? Because I got this post here. That doesn't look possible, does it? Because it looks to me like that drive rim would be somewhere in here. Well, that's curious. How can this even work? Can't even work. Let's look at that again. Oh, this probably hangs way out over here. That's what's going on. And this rim is traveling just inside here. Yeah. That's what's happening. Let me take a good look at that. It's on it upside down. It's probably a mark or stain right around here. Yeah, I think you can pick up the edge here. So let me get a little measuring device out. I'll just make a little measurement here. 4 centimeters gap here. 4 centimeters. Come in 4 centimeters. My ruler corner is broken off, but it's actually broken off just about right to the number 1 there, so that's kind of handy. 4. So 4 suggests it's just inside here. Very, very close. Okay. So to be in contact, the wheel has to be something like this. Move this along. This piece still feels gooey. I'm pushing it against some kind of limit here. Okay, let me put this into the operating position now. Okay. Something there. Well, so I've done a lot of these wheels. I've ground down a lot of these, and only once have I run into this kind of problem where it appeared to ground it down to the point where it no longer makes good contact. The solution for that was a really ugly deal last time around. A little hard to see on camera, but the clicking is this slot here that the shaft is in. The slot ends, and that's it. Doesn't matter if you tighten the spring up or anything, it's not going any further. You'd think they'd put a little more clay in there, but you know, they wouldn't want it to be that tolerant, or that the tolerance is to be that tight. It makes the manufacturing issues a little more difficult, you know, diameter of this wheel and that, but that appears to be the case. There isn't a lot you can grind away from here without getting into trouble. I think that's where I am now. So this is, I guess you could call this like a rugged problem. It's not a soft problem, you know, tighten up the spring and you'll be back in you'll be glory bound. I don't think that's what's going to happen here. Let's take this off again. And I'm really not anxious to get in and start grinding this hole. Although it did work in the last record player. Grinding this slot here. There's nothing, this is just a continuous piece of metal. There's nothing here to adjust. And am I wrong about the diameter being the problem? Probably not. That's almost certainly what the problem is. There's no shifting of the motor over. I don't think, anyway. How could you ever do that? These are going through fairly small holes in the deck. Because again, because this is somewhat precision built, these holes are in a precise location. They can't, you know, take the motor out, expand these holes, move the motor over to make more contact. That's a silly way to go. The least silly thing is to grind out this hole here. Grind it or file it or something. I don't think we're talking about much distance. We're talking like a millimeter. Just get a round file. I think I have one in the shop here. Not that. It's not here. I do have a round file. Could Dremel that. Put a Dremel in there and just grind away. That's probably the easiest way to do it. I don't see that there's much other options. I'm back to this rather horrendous deal. Oh, for sure. Is this really banging up there? Yeah, for sure. Now, that's a curve. That's a shaft in a curved slot. Just looking for a piece of paper here. So you have the slot, and you have the round piece, which I'm moving here, the shaft. Question is, how does it fit in here? Is it coming down, banging up against this edge? Or is it coming down, settling right in the bottom? This goes to the question of, well, what do you got to grind out here? You might automatically think you're going to grind this out, but maybe the issue is this edge here. Maybe end up grinding a fair bit. That really has no effect on anything. Looks like I'm on my way to grinding it. That's what it looks like. So grinding, throw metal parts around, little pieces of metal around. You got the motor sitting right here. It's not an operation you want to just jump into. It's a one-way trip. You can't grind it back. Doesn't look very risky in the sense that you could overdo it. Can't see that happening. You have to grind this whole thing right away. That's not going to happen. Let me get the close-up camera on that and see what we can see. Now, which camera? I've got both cameras going here. So we're going to pick this guy here. Out of focus, so just bear with me while I deal with the focus situation. I'm just bringing up the camera dialog box. Well, what am I doing? I'm focusing. Why am I not showing up? You're seeing it. That's weird. Okay, on one of my screens, the focus isn't having any effect. That's odd. Focus is fine. I don't know why am I worried about it. Here, let's get the camera. There we go. Take a close look at this. Light on the topic. There we go. The question would be, is that contact right in the bottom of the groove? I wouldn't say so. I would say it's just off to the side a little bit. So what I'm thinking is that, I want to grind out as little as possible. I don't want to grind out the wrong spot. I think I put a little mark there to help me guide myself. Got to dig out my Dremel. I think a Dremel is the way to do it. This is pretty hard metal here. Well, I got the close-up camera out. Let's take a look at the edge of the wheel. This really isn't a close-up camera. It's just a regular webcam that happens to focus really closely. Another possibility here is when I ground this, instead of getting a nice flat surface, I ground it on an angle, or so the contact surface is very, very minimal. And you can still see a shiny edge there. I thought I ground the edges off. When I was grinding them, I was worried I would turn this into a, I don't know how to describe it. There still are some shiny spots. So could it be that edge there, that shining, is the cause of the whole problem? Again, we can't really test it well. I can't see the nature of the contact. I don't think really at all. It's pretty hard to figure out what I'm looking at. I can grind it down a little more, just to get rid of that edge. Guess I should have examined this a little closer. Look at the divot there. It's still there. I think we could hear that divot going by. So the shiny edge must be the original unground edge. I guess maybe I held my drill just on a wee bit of an angle and left this edge there. So I'd want to get rid of it anyway, regardless of the shaft and all that stuff. maybe that's the first stage. It's just to grind this edge here. Again, there we are, all the way around. Try to get rid of that thump. That's going to really be pronounced. Thump, thump, thump. And if the edge is causing the problem will disappear. I think maybe that's the process. We grind this edge off a little bit, examine it with the camera here afterwards, put it back together, see what happens. And then step 2 will be to increase the travel of the intermediate wheel by grinding out the slot. And that should do the trick. Yeah, all the way around. How surprising is that? Surprising to me, because I really thought I'd ground that away. I'll take a close look at a few other things while we have this here. So that ugly black stuff is going to get right down into the motor bearing there. Bushing, I guess, is a better word for it. I should really get rid of it. Need to vacuum it out of there. Don't think there's too much else that's too exciting here to look at up close. That's a funny little piece. Okay. That's the plan then. We're going to grind the edge, test it out, grind the slot if necessary. Okay, so a bit of a story. It's 9:30 at night now. It's been hours since that last clip. And you see that car battery sitting there? Brand new Walmart car battery. So after the last clip, I had to take off to Walmart to pick up some groceries that we'd ordered, because we're doing the pickup thing for groceries. And had to shovel out the driveway and other stuff. You know, life goes on when I'm making these videos. So sometimes on video, I'm gone for that length of time. But in fact, I'm vacuuming, I'm playing with the cat. In this case, I'm off to Walmart. I'm going to turn off the charger over here, because it's just adding a little hiss we don't need. Okay, so you're going to hear that power supply just turned off in the corner there. You're going to hear it chirp in a moment. Not to be worried. Off I went to Walmart, pick up the groceries, go around the back of the store. That's where they're doing the grocery pickup thing. Park my car, tell them I'm here. Guy comes, puts the groceries, fills up the back of the truck with groceries. Great. Get out my key, turn the key. What do I get? Click, 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 click. That battery's gone dead. It's minus 15 degrees outside. I'm in the back area, way behind Walmart. What am I going to do? So first thing I did was try again and again, but no, there's nothing left in the battery. I don't know why it went dead. I was only sitting there for 10 minutes with the engine off, radio playing. It's stunning to me that it went dead. But you know what? You get away with things all the way until you don't get away with them. So I've known the battery's been getting weak for some time, and I guess I just it caught up with me. So what I'm going to do, so I phone up the Walmart people. Hey, I'm stuck here in spot number 2. I got my groceries. That's all great, but my car won't start. Can you do something for that? Because sometimes these big operations, they have they have a way of coming out and helping you get your car going out of the parking lot. But no, she said I can give you a number for a tow truck. Oh my God, I'm not going to get my truck towed, for crying out loud. I look at the car beside me, and there's a woman driver there. I'm thinking, should I knock on her door? Do I even have jumper cables with me? Oh my gosh. So I get out of my truck. I go to look for the jumper cables. Of course, where are they? Well, they're in a little area in the back of the truck underneath all these groceries. Okay, so I move all the groceries. I get out. Yep, there's the jumper cables. Fantastic. But I decide, no, I don't think I want to bother this woman, because maybe something's going to go wrong, and then I'm going to have, multiplied my problem. So I went in Walmart, hunted down where their car batteries were, went through that painstaking process, punching numbers into a little box to try to identify which car battery is for me. finally get through that. It's car battery, I can't remember, 74N or something like that. I look on the shelf and oh my god, there's hardly any car batteries on the shelf here. They're like half out of car batteries, and sure enough, the one I need, they're out of. So, so look at the prices, you know, they're around 150 bucks each. Finally, I decided I'm going to buy the cheapest car battery. I'm going to cross my fingers so I can use it to boost my car. So I bought a car battery, 115 bucks. Here it is right here. The Ever Start. Yeah, sure. Ever Start. Will it ever start? And long story short, I was able to jump the car, get it running, and get home here. But by the time I got home, I was so fed up with the situation and kind of worn out because I've been under the weather for the last while. It's taken me this length of time, 9:30, to get back in here and carry on. So let's carry on. Life goes on. Now, I got to take a look at this and figure out which edge it is. I was thinking a little more about this. You know, if I failed to grind the edge down on it, that could be the whole problem. That the slippery edge, which would be high now, is what's contacting everything, and the slipping is still going. In fact, it'd be even worse, wouldn't it? So maybe all I got to do is just grind the edge down. So let me take a look and make sure I know which edge I'm grinding. Okay, good show. It's this edge. I'm going to grind a little more off here. At about that bump that's in there, I should try to get rid of it. There we go. Really does grind out a lot of stuff off this one. Okay, that looks pretty good. I see no shine, but you know what, it's still a little high. It's funny that I guess maybe when I ground it I didn't have it perfectly flat, so I'm going to grind it down a little more. Typically when you do this, when you get down to fresh rubber, it doesn't grind much anymore. You don't get much black debris. Okay, so I'm going to put this back on the machine. We're going to try it again, see if that is really what the problem was, and I don't need to get out the Dremel and grind away a bunch of metal, which is really quite a disastrous process here. I really don't want to undertake it for sure if it's not necessary. That's absolutely for sure. Now I'm wondering about that one record player I did some time ago where I got into the same situation. Did I do the same thing? Okay, so I'll get this back together. We'll give it a test. Okay, so there is a simple check I can make of the quality of the traction, at least against the motor spindle, by holding the motor spindle and then just turning this and feeling it. And there's lots of traction there. I'm sure there's enough there. So if this still slips, it's got to be not the quality of the. By the way, when you're putting this on, putting one of these on, the many record players, the rim will come down on top of the wheel because the wheel is over here where it shouldn't be. And so if you just turn it a bit the right way, if you think about it, you'll push this out of the way and it'll fall in. So you don't sit here and just try to jam it down. Something like that, just like that. Okay, put this off. Here we go. Here we go. Here we go once more. Just on manual. Okay, traction check. No, that's not enough. That's not enough traction, I'm sure. I'm sure that's not enough. So I think we still have the undersized intermediate wheel problem now. And let's just give it a try for fun, because okay, so that's probably things just not being kind of set right in there. Look at it. It can't even lift this. The traction is terrible. It might play the record. But if you want to do something interesting, take a head shell off. I'll do it right now. I'll show you what you can do. This interesting thing. if you've got something like this, you can take off. With the record player playing very, very carefully, try to hold this on the record without doing anything stupid. Now you can feel the pull. It's not very great on this. This is a hear a little music playing. I've done this with other record players, and the pull is actually quite substantial. Yeah, you're dragging the needle through the zigzaggy groove. There is some pull. That pull would be enough to slow the platter down with this record player, I'm sure. Let's just see. This isn't going to get anywhere, I'm sure. Let's try it. Well, I've made it. Let's give that another go. I'm going to slide the overarm out of the way. It's lifted. It thinks there's a record that's going to drop. I don't like that tit sound. Not sure what that is. Just barely made it. We are talking about a minuscule amount of difference in the or a minuscule amount of metal that has to be ground out of that. Just makes it. Yeah, see, it thinks it just dropped a record because this is up in the air. Okay, well, we're very close now. So I am going to fetch the Dremel tool. I'm going to grind that slot. Give it a little more distance to move. Okay, hopefully I can make enough clearance to get the tool in there. Did I say Dremel? It's not a Dremel, but it's a Dremel imitator. That's it. That's the most you can get. Doesn't this go up and down with a speed thing? Can't get it over this. Yikes. Okay, let's just test this out without running it. This is actually a job mate. Just like most of the stuff. I got it at a yard sale. Okay, so I should take a look from this angle here. Make sure I'm pretty comfortable with this. Lovely. That's what I'm going to do. How much I'm going to remove? I'm going to remove enough, just enough. But I'll do this off camera because it's pretty loud. Okay, I think I actually can round a fair bit off of there. Boy, oh boy. Well, let's test it. That's the best thing I can do here. Put the spring back on. Okay, and the wheel. the platter. I don't normally work in my shop in the evening, doing other things. Okay. Let's see what happens here. Release. It's on 16. Whew. Traction check. That's better. That's better. That's better. That's definitely better. Okay, we're gonna throw the record on. Okay, baby, here we go. Just barely made it over. When I put it back together, I could see that where I ground it, it's just a little bit incorrect. Ground it just not quite in the right spot. It's gonna need another grinding. Surprising it makes it, but it does. But you shouldn't see any slowdown. Okay. I'll repeat that, and you'll just see this test again in a minute. Okay, here we go again. The traction test, when I'm putting my finger here, a good record player, you actually have trouble stopping it with your finger like that. I'm not sure this one's ever going to get quite there, but we all set here. This is loose. Okay, now we're set. What's happened now? We're going downhill here. What happened? About the same. Barely enough. Well, we'll just keep this process going here. I'm going to examine this a little closer and just see. Did I not grind successfully? Did I leave a burr in there or something like that happen? Yeah, now you might know more about fixing these record players than me, Mr. Viewer. You might be saying, oh no, there's another whole approach, don't do what you're doing. But I can't hear you. I cannot hear you. Oh, there is something. There's something more to this. Was it this thing here? Yeah, actually. No. Let's take a close look. Let's take a close look. Something else stopping it. More to the story here, Jim. I've certainly ground away more than enough. Okay, let's take a look up under here, see if we can figure it out. jumping into the oh, look at this. So that's why this piece has the weird shape. I've always wondered. This is the ramp that raises and lowers the intermediate wheel, and it always has this funny zigzag shape. And now I see this is how they make the wheel come off briefly during the when you're changing speeds. So that's the limit right there. Oh man, that's I'm not too happy about grinding away in there. Okay, something I didn't know. Learn something new every day. Yeah, lots of lessons today. Okay, well, I'm learning a lot here. I didn't realize before. So this is that piece again, that wavy piece. It has a number of indents or positions on it, one for each speed. If I set this to 16, that's where it is now, then in fact the intermediate wheel will actually be limited less, and it'll actually bang into the area that I've been grinding. If I go to the other extreme here and set it there, now we watch. Well, it's gone down, so it's a little hard to see, but trust me, it doesn't come near the area I ground. It's being held back. And that's because it's headed for this larger diameter ring. So for 16, it's got to make it all the way over to here, but for 78, it only has to make it to this. So that piece is designed to change the, or not, maybe not designed, but you know, what does it matter? You don't need to allow the intermediate wheel to travel as far. So 33 is right on the edge of working. Now I've got to come up with some plan for affecting this somehow. And I'm going to give that a little bit of thought, in fact. I'm wondering, should I just stop right now? Where are we at? We're 10 o'clock at night here. No, I'm going to go a little bit further. Try to figure out what I can do with this piece. Maybe there's adjustment on it in some way. Okay, got to study up and get a plan. Need a plan. Now this innocent looking zigzaggy piece of metal here is actually a pretty complicated little deal. So I wanted to go more in. Something stops it. This shaft does. In fact, as you change the speed control, this thing finds its place by running up against this shaft. The other end of it here, whoops, is kind of flippy-floppy too. If I could make it drift in just a little bit, that would probably fix everything. Probably. You might be saying, Jim, why don't you just order a new wheel? It is possible to get them, but that's time and money, and you know, time and money's not. So what's stopping it from moving a little further there? Let's just do it right up. So this piece of metal is shaped in such a way that can't go any further this way. This is all rigid. There's no adjustments for any of this kind of stuff. It's a pretty heavy-duty piece of metal here. It's pretty thick. So I'm thinking, okay, can you bend it a bit? Well, what if you bent it just a wee bit, just to accommodate the situation? It's right in between this point and this shaft. In fact, the active area is right in between. So right on this, there's a pin, there's a shaft right here. This is the one that's actually setting the position of the intermediate wheel, restricting it. And I could make that end go in, that would be good. I don't know how to do that. can make this end go further. The shaft is in the way. I can't really deal with that. You can actually see the difference here. You look at where this is set. Something's restricting it a bit. 1, 2, 2. Well, maybe because I got this tipped up on its side. I think it should go one more, but it won't. Well, this is another fine mess I've gotten myself into here. The owner of this is going to play only 2 kinds, well maybe 3 kinds of records. I'm not going to play 16. May play 78s, almost certainly going to play 33s, of course, and maybe the odd 45. 45 and 33 are the critical speeds to get working. I think I gotta stop and think about this before I do any more, in case I'm going down a rabbit hole here with this. Thought I was pretty smart about grinding that groove out. Seemed to me it worked on the last record player, but now I gotta wonder just how effective it really was. Yikes. Okay, I'm gonna call it quits here. It's too late at night. Carry on with this in the morning. Maybe I'll wake up with a wonderful solution. So thanks a lot for watching a crazy video. See you tomorrow.